Okay. Sorry, I had the stream on. The There we go.
Perfect.
Sorry, guys. I had the stream on in my ear so I could hear myself like 4 times. All right. Well, welcome, guys. We are back at you with another episode of Forager Fitness. Today we're going to be talking about how we kind of came up with our ideals behind everything.
Yep.
Kind of our ethos behind what we're preaching here. Something that is pretty applicable to a lot of people, especially now. I think the reason I want to do this is because I am trapped in my house right now for this whole quarantine. So yeah, I'm noticing how much I'm actually doing this thing that we're talking about. So today we're going to be discussing basically how and why we are in a sitting culture now, right? We didn't know as a humans we weren't always in this seated culture. Our whole civilization wasn't that way. So we're going to be discussing kind of how we got to where we are, and we're going to kind of go into different chapters into how to fix that, how to counteract those things. But today we're kind of just going to have a background of how these things came about. Before we get started, I just want to thank everyone that has shown us an immense amount of support through YouTube, through Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are amazing. So if you're watching this on Twitch, please hit the follow button. We'd love for you to come back and hang out with us while we're live. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know and you're notified when we do upload, which is pretty much after every episode. We upload pretty fast. If you're here on Twitch and there's something going on, like you can't hear us, or please tell us so that we can fix it while we go. We don't want to end up in another catastrophe where we have a whole stream where there's no audio. That is my bad.
Yeah, that definitely
that happened, and we will be trying to avoid that happening again.
Man.
So yeah, Nick, how's it going, man? How are you?
Good, man. We got the whole COVID thing going on right now. I'm a healthcare worker, so I have to go to work. So my day-to-day hasn't really changed, but definitely feeling the effects because it's like ghost town out there. And we went into town today, and we actually went into Costco. We braved Costco, dude.
Did you have to wait in line to get in?
So I had to wait in line to get in, but they were really efficient in terms of like getting people through and then getting people to like the registers. So it was actually like, I don't mean to say this, but like out loud, but it was probably the best shopping experience I had at Costco. Reason being was everybody was by the toilet paper and everybody was by the ramen. And that I don't shop there. So I got a bunch of veggies, a bunch of meat, and I was like, this is wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's awesome. So so when we first came up with the name Forager Fitness, you were kind of had this whole mentality of why you wanted to name it. We kind of went over that briefly when on our first episode, when we were kind of doing our introductions and things like that. We were talking about different things about how we came up with the name, but now we're going to kind of dive deeper into it. So as a refresher, kind of tell everyone why we came up with the name and where that whole idea came from.
Sure. Yeah. So, we're Forager Fitness, reconnecting individuals to their innate health tools. Because I'll start with this, kind of like the fitness world. We're told that we need a bunch of equipment. We're told that we need to do this. We're told that we need to do these rep schemes. We're told that, you need all this fancy stuff that you need to purchase and buy. But the thing is, your fitness is really something that is innate to you. And it's something thousands of years ago, more than 10,000 years ago, we didn't have to worry about. I mean, being hunter-gatherers, we had to move to go get our food. We had to move to go just see things. We were always on the move. We never really actually put in a section of our day to bench press or go run. We're just constantly moving. So that's translated to a lot of experts nowadays, kind of with the whole paleo movement that Mark Sisson started and everything. That was probably like a starting point, or at least kind of fueled the fire for this movement. But a lot of experts nowadays are battling chronic disease and then actually looking into why fitness is so important by using modern hunter-gatherers and studying evidence that they had in the past. So without getting too in the weeds, we were this population that didn't have food around us. We didn't have domesticated animals. We didn't have a bunch of agriculture prior to the agricultural revolution. And we just, traveled around in these like little bands, and we kept moving. We kept our fitness that way. And then now we've kind of, since the agricultural revolution, keeping our food sources close to us, keeping animals close to us that we eat, it blows up our population, it blows up the population, and then you set a tangent for like civilization.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was kind of snowballing, not saying good or bad. I mean, it's just what happened. But now we went from our daily worry from where do we get our food to I need to sit down for hours and slam out these emails so my boss doesn't yell at me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different kind of stress, arguably more stress.
Sure.
And so, I mean, I even find myself doing it when I have to catch up on emails from work. I'm seriously sitting here and my computer's about lower than my face and I'm just hunched over, and it's obviously a bad posture. And we're seeing a lot of work-related injuries for this. We're seeing a lot of people coming in for back pain, for anterior shoulder pain from being slumped over. It's just something that has proven over time to not really be something that our bodies, the shearing forces on our body and gravity and how it works isn't necessarily the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can ask any physical therapist, any chiropractor, even any medical doctor. They'll tell us that just being in this slump position is just wrecking kind of our supportive structures of our body.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
in a nutshell, it's like a convenience culture. We've gone from having to, hunt and gather our food, move from place to place to where I could literally walk to a convenience store that has everything I could need just to survive, right? So we've gone from this like necessity to where we have to move to live to now we are in a purely convenience-based culture. Now, how do you said through agricultural evolution, industrial evolution, different types of great inventions, but how did we get here, basically?
So basically, this gets really deep, but we became religious humanists, and what that means is we somehow one or another decided that humans on Earth are the authority. We are the shit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't believe that, that's evidenced by we manipulate the whole environment around us to our comforts. I mean, this wall behind here is full of gypsum and wood. I took that from the environment for my convenience, for my comfort.
Mm-hmm.
The desk I'm on is wood. I have plastic stuff in my computer, metal that's been hard. We take the environment, we transform it, and we kind of found that was pretty fucking awesome. Now we have cars, we got Teslas, we got everything we need. So that kind of sent us on that azimuth once we kind of made that decision collectively. And so it's just shot off from there, and a lot more people on the earth and stuff like that, making more things, innovation, and now we just have a lot of computer-based jobs, though. A lot of things are being automated, and a lot of the jobs are actually lacking the type of labor that they had even back in the early part of the 18th century, 17th century. All those jobs, farming and stuff like that, are whittling away, and even stuff in like factories and stuff is getting automated. So it's just the human body, in terms of the occupational setting, is just doing less and less movement, and that's why we find ourselves in front of the computer. I mean, I'm a nurse and I work in the ED and I'm moving all the time. But if I'm not moving or like taking care of patients or like resuscitating a trauma, I'm definitely at the computer charting. And I'm definitely like this, or I'm sitting back like this. I don't have a neutral spine. I'm definitely wearing and putting shearing factors on my body. And that just comes with what we kind of came to as a society. And I know half the people we're probably talking to and we're going to broadcast to, they're looking at a computer or they're looking at a phone, their head's bent down. It's systemic, whether you think it's good or bad. But the thing is, in knowing that and knowing how we got here and in knowing what the problem is and knowing how our bodies probably should move, that gives us the power and the action plan to like move forward.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to. It's hard not to fall into those type. It's comfortable, right? It's comfortable to be in those positions. So it's hard to constantly remind yourself to, be 100% on at all times, right? It's hard to just constantly remind yourself to sit up straight or move, get up and move around every 15, 20 minutes. Also, if you're doing a task, it's not always easy to just sit it down and walk around for 10 minutes, right? That's not always
Yep.
practical. But at the end of the day, that is the best thing for you, I mean, in a simple term, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I think the question becomes, now that we've gotten to this point, right? And I think everyone's fallen to that to a certain extent, especially, those of us like myself who work in an office,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm sitting, I catch myself in those awful positions all day long. And I kind of
Yeah.
I kind of laugh to myself because I know what I'm doing and I know what's right. And I just know
Yeah.
like, I'm literally just too lazy at this very moment to sit up straight, and that's
Mm-hmm.
and that's just something I have to kind of remind myself on a daily basis, and it is tough sometimes.
Yeah, I had a colleague, look at me the other day and was like, "Wow, you have great posture." And I just looked at him. I was like, "Because you're watching me try." Like, I just thought about it, and I was like, "I need to sit up and actually keep my spine straight." And then, because I'm like, I never do this
Yeah,
ever. So yeah, it's definitely something to think about. And but there's stuff we can do, and I mean, it just plays to the Forager Fitness kind of mindset. We revisit the stuff that is innate in our bodies, as humans are kind of designed to do.
hmm,
And when we can look at that, and it goes for diet, exercise, all that stuff, we can look at some of that stuff. um, it gives us we can kind of conceptualize what we need to do in this day and age.
hmm,
At least the boxes we need to check off:
sure.
move more, eat less processed food. It makes it really easy to understand.
Yeah.
So
So tell me, so from your perspective, being in the medical field, tell me like
yeah.
some stuff like that you've seen from maybe from like on a minor end, that things that like people are just starting to have these
Hmm.
things affect them, to like more on a major scale. Like what kind of things have you seen from like both ends of the spectrum, and then how
Yeah,
have
yeah.
people like progressed towards like when do they know that these things are starting, and then what kind of happens towards the end?
So I guess some of the stuff that I see with the population that I see with are we talking about like desk sitters in general?
Yeah, like things that you've seen,
Okay.
like according to this demographic of like someone like myself who may not be as active as me, but someone who sits
Hmm.
for 8+ hours a day. They come home, they go back to sitting, right?
Yep.
And that's because, like I said, it's the majority of the population that does that. So, in terms of
Absolutely.
injuries and ailments that you've seen, what kind of that relates to this?
The biggest one I see with my population, who the population I serve is a pretty physical population. But what I see is more so is anterior shoulder injuries.
Hmm.
So the rolling of the shoulders all day, typing, and just being kind of hunched over, and then hitting the gym after work doing bench press or something like that. Or the thing is, having your shoulder in a chronic rolled forward position,
Hmm.
and then kind of you see people that kind of just train their chest or something like that. They
Hmm.
kind of have that forward kind of shoulder roll.
Hmm.
And so I see that in the ER, and I mean, we're given pain shots and stuff like that for anterior shoulder pain. And then also people that have desk jobs have a higher affinity for lower back pain. And so I see lower back pain a lot. That's correlated with a lot of these jobs. I think it's in the literature that we're not necessarily supposed to be sitting down as much as we do.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, the literature compiled kind of comes to the conclusion that people at desk jobs, the reason they kind of get these pains and stuff like that is they're just not getting up and moving. That's the overarching thing. They've done studies where people sit in desks and don't move, or people sit in desks and take every 10 minutes goes and get some water or something like that, making the juices flow.
Hmm.
That's how you avoid injury. And then some of the really bad stuff I've seen, I mean, we can go as far as just chronic disease to the point needing emergent treatment.
Hmm.
And that's just not moving. Being at a desk job, you're probably going to grab the quick food, the processed food that's always there and has a high shelf life.
Hmm.
I do it at work sometimes too. I mean, the only thing there is what is sitting in the break room, and you take
Hmm.
a picture of the break room. It's Coke, it's chips, all this other stuff. So that's probably the very severe is probably just like the chronic end state of a lot of lifestyle stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So
So
kind of what I've seen from like a fitness perspective and how this affects people that are trying to exercise is, I mean, you got to think of it of what's the position that you're in, right? You're in, if you're sitting for the majority of the day, as Meza says, he's trying to fix his posture as he listens. Hey man, if anything helps, If we're helping you at this moment, just keep it in your mind all the time. But like, so think about what you're.
You got horrible posture.
Yeah. So think about the position that you're in, right? So you're in a closed position, right, where your anterior, your front side is closed for the majority of the day, right? Your legs are here, your body's here, right? Your body is naturally supposed to be standing, right? Your hips are in line, your shoulders are in line, everything's in line. So when you're sitting, you are completely deactivating your posterior side. So from your back to your butt to your hamstrings, everything is being deactivated. It's where it's not having to work hard to do the physical activity that you're doing, which is just sitting, right? On the contrary to that, on the front side,
unless you're hovering over the toilet at an airport, dude, then you're engaging a little bit.
The girls,
just a touch.
The female pee. Yeah.
Sorry,
we don't pee, we hover.
Yeah.
So on the front side, right, on the contrary to that, you're completely overactive on your front side. So underactive on the back side and overactive on the front side. So what that means is your body's just not, even though if it's relaxed, you're still contracting, right? You're still in a contracted position to where your chest, just like you're talking about with the posture with the front when you're on the computer, your chest inadvertently is pulling forward and your upper back muscles are deactivating to get you into this slump position. So when you're in from the hips, right, you are then tight in the front. So your hip flexors, your quads, your lower abdomen are all super tight because you're just literally contracting them all day long for 8+ hours a day and deactivating your backside. So when you stand up, right, when your hips come in line, the way to get your hips come back in line is when your butt cheeks flex, right? Even if it's enough to where you don't even notice it, once they flex, that's what gets your hips back in line to get you to stand. So when you're sitting, you don't have that. So what I see it's similar to what you're talking about, right? So where people can't get into certain positions because they are super tight or super weak in different areas.
Oh yeah.
We did a test back when we were training people when we first met them called the overhead squat assessment. Now anyone that's ever done personal training or is a personal trainer knows the overhead squat assessment. It's like universal across the board. What you do is you would stand with your feet straight forward and your arms straight up in the air, right? So what we would see is when we tell you to squat, right? So there's a few things we're looking for. We're looking for your feet, because we have you set up straight. If your feet come out, right, that means your butt is completely like shut off and wanting to pull. Like your inside is pulling you out, right? We look for your hips, right? So if you end up squatting and you just bend over, right? As you squat, you're just completely leaning forward.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
What that's telling me, is that your hip flexors are so tight that you cannot keep your torso tall. And your erectors and your back muscles are weak enough to where you cannot stand yourself back up straight. Right?
Okay.
And then the last one would be to watch your arms. So if your arms start to flow, right, your lats are super tight, right, in the front side, and your back is not strong enough to keep your arms overhead, right? So literally those three things are so indicative of people that sit at a desk. And I know if I was to do it right now, I'm obviously not nearly as a mobile or flexible as I used to be. I would probably have all three of those things happen. I know for sure my hip flexors, because they've gone to crap over the last couple of years. But yeah, there's ways to go around that, and it's pretty evident. Like it's not a mystery when you see those things happen. You know, I could tell exactly what people do during their day by how their body reacts to the different movements.
Absolutely, yeah, and I mean. The biggest thing I remember in terms of stuff like that, like sitting and tight muscles, is when I was reading How to Become a Supple Leopard with Kelly Starrett. Starrett, yeah. The Ready State is legit, by the way. And then so he made a good assumption, or a good analogy. When you sit up and you have really tight hip flexors, tight psoas, stuff like that, it's like grabbing the front of your pants and trying to stand up. You can't get that full hip extension. That's
exactly
true.
Right. Yep.
But the thing is, though, people don't say, "Oh, their hips are tight." No, people say their back is tight because that psoas muscle and a lot of the the iliopsoas and stuff like that, and the iliacus back there, it tilts your pelvis forward, and then what that does is that lumbar curve that you have is then more accentuated, kind of smashes, and that causes back pain. And it's all, and we know how it's caused, and it's kind of like a mobility issue from sitting. I mean, when you're sitting when you're sitting contracted like that, your muscles are going to start to just, I mean, they need to be exercised and they need to be worked out. So your muscles kind of go into a contracted state because that's where they're at. That's where they're going to stay.
Mm-hmm. So what's next for people from just a philosophical standpoint, in terms of lifestyle change, not necessarily like rep for rep or movement for movement, but just from a lifestyle standpoint, what can people do just right off the bat if they find themselves that they know that they're, they work in an office, they are on their butts for, most of the day.
Yep.
What can you do to mix in through your day to just kind of counteract those things just from a lifestyle standpoint?
Yeah. I mean, day to day, like being at work, it's super simple. I mean, just getting up and moving consistently all the time. Like getting up out of your desk, moving, doing that stuff is great. Stand-up desks, some people like them and everything like that. Those are pretty great.
I have one in my office, not at home, but at work I do. Yeah.
Right. But then another thing is being pretty, like, you have to kind of, in this day and age, you have to kind of dedicate at least a little bit of your time to some good mobility stuff. And the best way that I've seen that personally I do, and I think is most effective for most people, is getting a good mobility regime right before bed. Because it's almost like a yoga thing. And I mean, it will knock you out. Like if I do Ramwad right before bed, I'm done. So I get better sleep. That's another thing, working on your sleeping habits. How's your body supposed to recover and stretch out if you're not sleeping well? But yeah, just the day-to-day, like the evidence suggests, the people that get up and move, take a break and go get water, like give yourself a 20-minute time hack, 15-minute time hack, get up and move. If you want to go as far as start doing some stretching in there, just really attacking the hip flexors, keep a foam roller at work. Who cares?
Yep.
And also find reasons to leave your desk. And if that means a technological upgrade, like your work giving you a tablet or something to work on the move or something like that. I know, but find reasons to leave.
Yeah. So I think, do you remember when you were in college, did you ever use the tomato timer to like study?
Tomato. Oh yeah.
So
that it's like Tabata almost.
Yeah.
Kinda.
So tomato timer, if I remember correctly, it was 40 minutes and then it would tell you, it would ding, and that would tell you to get up and like, because it was better for your brain to stay focused if you gave yourself breaks you didn't want to stay on topic for more than like 30. I can't remember exactly the time. I think it was 40 minutes, but I think that would be a great thing just to remind people. You can set it on your phone. I mean, they have different like alerts and alarms and things on your phone, to remind you to kind of like, okay, I need to get up. I need to walk around, and it helps your eyes, you get eye strain. Like I have these when I work, I have these blue light glasses. Like I don't wear glasses, but I have blue light glasses to help my eye strain. Yeah, they're sweet.
Damn, look at you.
To help eye strain, and that's a big thing. I noticed that my eyes were getting tired and hurting, and I was getting headaches and stuff like that. And I've had headaches from concussions from sports. So this is just another thing that was adding to that. So I added that. Nicole actually got them for me for Christmas a couple of years last year, I think, and they've been great. I use them when I play. If I'm playing video games, if I'm working from home, I wear them all the time, and they're great.
Perfect.
I mean, that, then obviously getting up. Now, me personally, I'm a huge proponent of the stand-up desk. Now, but the issue with the stand-up desk is you have to know how to use it correctly. Like, you can't just stand. It's the same thing. If you let your body be lazy while you're standing, it's the same thing as if you're being lazy while you're sitting, right? There's ways to be actively in posture while you're sitting, but you have to learn how to stand correctly. So, as you mentioned, Kelly Starrett, like I read I have Supple Leopard, but I read on my phone, I read Desk Bound. So if anyone's interested more of like the science behind, he's a physical therapist, like a physical therapy standpoint, Desk Bound is awesome book. I learned so much, and that's really what pushed me to get a stand-up desk. Like we had to like request it through the property management of our office building, and I was like, yes. After reading that, I was like, yes, I am gonna get this because I don't want to end up like these people that he tells stories about, and and he has a very similar ideology as we do. Like he shares a lot of our same mentality in terms of lifestyle, in terms of exercising, movement patterns, things like that. He has a lot of our same mentality, which is awesome. It's nice to read people that not only like share your ideals, but you can put words behind it, right? So he like puts things into perspective that I might not have thought about, but it's still the same, it helps me be able to explain it to people better.
Yeah. Oh
Right.
yeah.
Once even though it's like, because obviously I read people that don't share my ideologies. Like I read people that preach triple extension and weightlifting, even though that's not what I teach. Right.
Right.
But it's good to learn things from their perspective so that you can either apply things that are similar or be able to explain the differences in what you're teaching, which is huge. So for him, it's he's a very similar coach. Like his mentality, although he's obviously a million times smarter than me, is still the same type of still the same type of
But that's good.
background.
I mean, it's good. It's good to have read that, and then you know what? It's easy because you can give it up front, give a synopsis up front, and then tell someone, "Hey, check this book out."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Exactly right.
I do that with a billion books.
Yeah.
I mean, I loan out books like all the time. But just because they're good references, if someone's interested, direct them to the resource.
Mm-hmm. And with the stand-up desk, I don't stand up all day long. It's like I use that as my breakup, right? So he has this thing that he says is your best movement is your next movement, which means basically that you should always be moving, right? So I have like this little fidget landing pad so I can get into like the Captain Morgan position. That's what he calls it, right? So you have your one leg hiked up like on a bar. Like on a bar rail. So like they don't really have much anymore, but like old school bars had that bar rail that you can hike your foot up on. It was to make people be more like there was a reason behind that. It was to make sure that people were more comfortable for standing for longer periods. What he says is that you should be like switching feet and moving around.
I thought it was just for short people like me. I would stand on it so I could order a damn drink. Gin and tonic, right?
So I have that on my desk so I can be, one leg hiked up as much as possible, then switch legs and switch legs and switch legs so that I'm always moving, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of get into next episode. We're going to kind of continue on this topic. So I don't want to dive too far into like the minutia of what we can do to counteract these things. We're going to go over like how to, movements that you can do to fix these things and different types of stretches. I'm thinking about putting together like a YouTube series on this exact topic with how to do stretches and motor control things, directly to put up on the channel for you guys as a resource. It's nothing that's going to be groundbreaking. It's stuff that you've all seen before. It's just going to be broken down the way I teach it, which is super simple. But that's down the road a bit. So not tomorrow, but next episode we'll talk about more of the detailed stuff on what you can do if you are a desk sitter, if you are a gamer, right? So we are on Twitch. This is mainly a gaming website. So if anyone's a gamer, this will be perfect for you guys as well. But yeah, so kind of going back to what we were talking about before, from a philosophical standpoint, where do you think so obviously each person can make their own decisions on what they do next, but as like a culture, do you see us getting out of this like desk-bound nature, or are we kind of trapped here? It's only things are only going to get more automated, right? It's not going to get any less.
Yeah, things are going to get more automated. But I also think there is a separate movement that's gaining traction for bringing stuff back to basics and bringing stuff back to what is actually good for us. I think because of people like us, people that, are kind of getting out there and teaching, or not teaching, but like kind of relaying information as like, humans went from moving to not moving, but we are still the same humans. So I think there's a movement behind that, and I think it's a movement that's going to affect occupational policy, stuff like that. And it's already seeping over into like healthcare, like preventative medicine, all that stuff. So I think the future is unclear because that capitalist machine is going to keep moving, going to keep putting people at desks and stuff like that. It's just the way it is. But I think there's some reason to be optimistic for sure. Since we're starting to conceptualize some of these things and realize what our body actually needs and what our body's kind of made to do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that's that. We're gonna wrap it up right here, you guys. We're gonna try to keep our streams and our videos shorter. We've seen that people like to watch shorter videos. I don't know if it's.
I mean, I do too.
You guys' attention spans are not long enough to watch an hour video. No, I'm just kidding. Mine's not either, so I get it. It's like watching a whole movie on YouTube. No, thank you.
I know.
So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, if you've gotten this far into the video, please hit the subscribe button. If you like us, you want to support us, want to keep seeing us put out a content that we want to put out, which is really what we're here to do. And then on Twitch, if you're here right now, hit that follow button. We love for you to be notified when we come live, so you guys can come into the chat and talk to us, answer questions. We've had some comments on the YouTube channel, so if you guys are on YouTube, leave a comment if you have any questions. If you want more information, if you were here last time and you are a active duty military and you would like more information on ACFT and how to program correctly, you can hit me up on that email address right there.
There we go.
I am talking about programming. I've had some awesome conversations with some people. Just questions at this point, just kind of more detailed questions than what we went over in the show, which is perfect. This is exactly what it was for. But we are also open to programming ideologies and how we would implement your ACFT into everyday programming. So yeah, hit me up. I'm happy to talk to you guys. And I'm home all the time, so I'm at my computer all day long, so I can answer emails anytime.
Quarantine.
Yeah.
Hashtag quarantine, hashtag COVID.
Yeah, dude. Stay safe out there. Everyone wash your hands literally right now. I don't care what you're doing. Go wash your hands.
Hand hygiene,
Gross
please,
people.
for the love of God. Oh.
Last thoughts, my friend?
No, just a big thank you. Yeah, check out the blog. We got the ACFT articles coming out. I think we got 2 more left. Those will come out in the next weeks. I've been getting a lot of love on the blog. So if you spread the word, if y'all could please spread the word, kind of tell people what we're doing on YouTube, that would really help us out. We want to give you guys some good stuff. And that's about it. Just, thank you. You guys are, you're making this happen. So appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Peace out.